Good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining us. Thank you, people out in internet land, for tuning into the stream as well. My name is Conrad Keene. I'm director of the Playground Ensemble, and I am very excited about what we are about to do this evening. It has been amazing to work with Remerg and to get to know the people that we've gotten to know and to be able to bring these pieces to you and these stories to you and this evening to you. And I am going to right now turn things over to a friend of mine, one of our board members, a innovative educator and a very good friend, Luke Wachter.
As Conrad said, my name is Luke Wachter. I am one of the board members of the Playground Ensemble. I should probably stop there. Welcome to Reenter, Remerg, and Return. First of all, we'd like to express our gratitude to SCFD, Colorado Creative Industries, the Denver Music Advancement Fund, which is part of Denver Arts and Venues, for their financial support. And we'd like to thank Michael and Molly Frank and Megan and Boba for this incredible venue. Without these people, tonight would not happen. I've been involved with the Playground Ensemble as a performer and educator and board member since 2009. And it's been really incredible to experience the growth and the evolution of this group over the last 11 seasons. I think what I am most proud of, especially recently, is our effort to provide space for the voices of those who are typically left out of traditional performing arts. That's children's and teens through our education programming, Black, Latinx, and other communities of color, LGBTQIA+ musicians and performers, and tonight the voices of the currently and formerly incarcerated. For me personally, hearing these voices has transformed who I am as a teacher, as an artist, and as a person, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. And I know that everybody in the Playground family feels the same way. If you would like to find out more about our programming and ways to support our work, please check out our website, playgroundensemble.org. Although what I'd really like to plug is our partner tonight, Remerg, an organization which does incredibly important work to help people re-enter the world after incarceration. Playground will contribute funds from tonight's show to Remerg, and you'll have an opportunity to learn more about that organization over the course of the evening. Please join me in welcoming my friends from the Playground Ensemble.
So that very first piece on the program is by a good friend of mine, a composer named Claud, who I think is watching us from New Mexico right now, where he's been paroled to. And we began this piece while he was finishing the sentence he was serving in Sterling. And if you would like to know more about the pieces, there is a program, an official program for this evening's concert that you can find at that link right there. It has information about all the pieces, about the composers, and might make you feel like you are a little more tracking what we're doing right now. I want to bring to the stage right now someone that I got to know over this process that I'm just in awe of, to be honest with you, and I'd like to bring up Carol from Remerg.
Thank you, Conrad. I'm not very good at off the cuff, so I have to read my prepared. And I just want to say first, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's a unique evening about reentry from incarceration. I'm the founder of Remerg, the organization you're here to support tonight, and our mission is to help people when they're released from incarceration. I really want to thank Conrad and the Playground Ensemble for their time and their talent and for reaching out to us. We really appreciate it. I founded Remerg from my experience working with people coming out of incarceration. The deck is stacked most of the time, and it's not surprising almost half go back within 3 years. And tonight you'll learn a little bit more about the people who become incarcerated in our prisons. People need so much when they're starting over, but luckily there are organizations that directly help, and you're going to learn a little bit about some of them tonight. They're in the audience. And that's the point for remerg.com, which is our kind of reentry resource website. And last month we were visited by 5,000 people. A huge thank you for coming tonight. I want to thank members of my family sitting down here. I've got members of the board of directors in the audience. We have Dean Williams here, Maureen Kane. We're just really pleased to have all of you here. Most of all, I want to thank the members of my community who so generously offered to share their stories. Can you introduce the next piece? Next piece. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, I'm Richard von Foerster with the Playground Ensemble. I want to say just a few words about the next two pieces that you're going to hear. They were both composed by Stacy, who is here somewhere. There she is, there. I acknowledge her at the end. We would like to perform these two pieces as a set. The first one is called Echoes from Inside, and there are no live performers for that one. This is pre-recorded sounds, including the voices of currently incarcerated people. It's about 16 minutes long. Then we'll move into the second piece, which is called Buried Alive, which does use live performance here, including the recitation of a poem written by an incarcerated individual. And we thought we would be good to have some silence in between the two to give you an opportunity to reflect on what you've heard. So what we'd like to do is present the first piece, have a moment of silence, and then we'll move into the second of those two pieces. So here you are, the Echoes from Inside and Buried Alive.
Hello, this is a prepaid call from a prisoner at the Michigan Department of Correction. To accept this call, press 0. To refuse it. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording.
There's so much that I want to say. It would take 4 or 5 phone calls with recording at least, and I still wouldn't have everything off my chest. I had to think of a lot of dirt and a lot of things and stuff I had already put out of my mind. I don't know, it's tough. You know, I've lost my wife. I've lost one of my sons over this. I lost a daughter I really never knew that much anyways. I just got custody of. And all my property, pretty much everything I've ever owned, I've lost now. I've worked for my whole life for it. I've lost it. My father told me at a young age that time is the most valuable thing in this world, and if you waste it or it is taken from you, you can never get it back, not for any amount of money. If you ask me what I regret the most, it is not being there to take care of my mother and being an uncle to my niece. I was locked up 9 days before her 2nd birthday. I had been in prison for 10 years. I watched her grow up through pictures. I just want to be with my family, grow old, and die an old man in my bed. That would be the perfect end of my life. Thank you. Person for being inside is all against that man suffer. For my family not being able to be there for the memorial services or funerals. I guess it took me losing my mom to realize what I've been putting my family through for all these years, even the time that I was free out there, what I was causing for heartbreak. Just not being able to help my family, you know. For me, the hardest thing about being here is the things that you lose. The time that you've lost, the special moments that you've lost, the experiences that you've lost over the years. Say, for instance, my son is, first steps, first day of school, homework assignments, first girlfriend, them feelings I'll never get back, never be able to be experienced with him. They're just gone. My mother, when she passed away, I don't get a chance to say my goodbyes. I don't get a chance to do none of that. So once the moments come and go and you're not part of them, you never get a second chance to experience them or be part of them again. So that's what I miss the most. It kind of feels like in here there's really not much of a purpose. We're just waking up and going through the motions just to do it all over again tomorrow. A lot of us in here don't have a chance to get any words out there. We feel like we don't have a voice. So, this sounds like our voices are going to be heard. All I'm doing is existing, man. I'm not doing nothing more than existing. It's like I'm dead to everybody, I guess you could say. I'd like for people to know that I'm still alive and I would love to have some friends, And I'm not a total bad guy, I've just made a lot of mistakes in life. And I don't think that what I have done is enough reason for people to just forget that I exist and not even attempt to communicate with me at all. I was out there, though, I was more worried about me than I was them. Sometimes you don't know what you got till it's gone, you know. It's hard. They took me to a trip to the hospital Thursday. It's about 2.5 hours away. And it felt so strange going out into the real world. Well, I say real world, I mean, you know what I mean. And it was so odd because they took me to the city and there's a college there next to the hospital. Just seeing everybody walk around was like, really, they took me in their shackles and handcuffs and everybody was just staring, you know, and it just felt so uncomfortable. The guard stopped at KFC on the way back, and they parked in the parking lot, and they sit there and ate that food in front of me, with me in the back seat, and it just hurt so bad, you know, just sitting there watching them eat that food, and I got so depressed, I was just looking around and I was thinking, man, if I could have anything out here right now, that, you know, all the stuff that I see that I ain't seen in so long, and what would I want? There was a broken bottle laying there in the grass next to the parking lot we was parked at, and I was like, all I could think about was how much I wanted that piece of glass and that bottle so I could cut myself. With all the stuff around me, you know, to take in, all I could focus on was a little piece of glass. I just got so depressed, and you know, I'm in the hole right now, and you'd think getting to get out and see other stuff would be a great experience, but it was just miserable. I mean, I was miserable, and I couldn't wait to come back to prison to get put back in the hole. That's all I could think about was, oh man. And on the way back, I just kicked back and I closed my eyes. I didn't even look at the trees or nothing. I just got so depressed. And what triggered it was them eating in front of me. I know that. It's just hard. Once you get it, you become so numb to everything. It's good for me to actually think about something other than what I normally think about again. And it feels good to be able to help you or whoever maybe this could possibly help. It makes me feel good to be able to contribute something. I wish that the court system would have seen me and my mental illnesses, but Idaho don't see a mental illness as a problem, so they just send you to prison anyway. And they don't help you at all, man. You never know how much you really miss having something to do until you don't have anything to do. You're absolutely helpless. Anything you want to do, you don't really have the power to do it. But right now, I'm happiest when I think of my kids. The fact that after 9 years, they want to get to know me. Got a couple pictures. And that actually made me happy. Happier than I've ever been for quite a few years. More than 15 actually. I actually kind of think about things like this regularly. I'll be in the shower, just all of a sudden, think, man, I miss hot water. It's a cold water day. And then I'll stop and think about, what do I really miss? Driving is what I miss the most. I know that may sound weird, but it's the freedom of just getting into a vehicle and just getting on the road and blowing the windows down and turning turning the music up and just, you know, just feeling like the closest thing I could get to flying, to being free. Honestly, it's been a little uncomfortable. I didn't want you to judge me after I told you what was the hardest thing about being in prison for me, because I still feel like I have to think and act like a criminal in order to survive in here. And I don't want people to think that about me. I want people to trust me and to know that I'm a good person and to, you know, be able to talk to me and trust me with things that they have going on. I want to be a good friend. I want to be a good brother. I want to be a good father. I want to be a good person. And for me to have to admit that I still have to think and act like a criminal sometimes, even though that's not what I feel inside that I truly am, was really uncomfortable. I haven't had a lot of communication where I can open up with a lot of people. And, you know, it's not the safest place to just volunteer information when you're in prison. So basically, I'm real guarded. Well, I'm the happiest when I am who I am and I don't hide it, and also when I'm with my other half. It's good to know that people out in society actually care about people in here. It's a very lonely place in here. Yes, we've been around other inmates and whatnot, but if you talk to individuals, they are just very, very lonely. You have to have hope in here. If you don't have hope, you will not survive. I did get out for 1 year when I was on parole, and it was so hard for me, after being in for 7 years, to adjust to society again. When I got out and was on parole for that year, it was very, very difficult to follow their rules and their stipulations. And frankly, one of them even told me, my parole officer said that, well, you should be doing more time, you should be out on parole. And she said, I'm going to do my best to make sure you go back to prison. And she did, she put me back in here. So, you know, it's hard to really build up that empathy when you have so many things going against you. And I look back on that abuse that I had as a child, and I think, okay, yeah, it was pretty rough. The problem is now is they're warehousing us.
1 minute remaining.
And they're keeping us here longer than we need to be, and they're not giving us the help that we need to better our lives. It's scary to live in a private prison because you're in a prison where they want to make money. That's their main goal. And it's a multi-billion-dollar business. Over half of the inmates in our prison systems are doing time for drug-related offenses and other non-violent crimes.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Locking everyone up is not the answer. The system as it stands is a total failure. Take the profit out of incarceration and make it profitable to rehabilitate.
Thank you for using GTL.
My contemplative moments are like motes of dust swirling in bright beams, burning through the shadows, each a thing I mean to do, a regret, an unfilled dream, a tear, a kiss, a goodbye. I live in these sirens' flashes, sucking at them like a leech, growing fat on the suffering. Time is a terrible circle, closing in on itself, cutting away at an empty heart. I search in vain for the moment I grew too large in my loss. I turn into this flailing morbidity from an elusive past. There's no light here, not really. These nostalgic pyres are as meaningless as tears in the rain. But I continue to grow, and I claw for my salvation. Across my Rubicon, alone in my grave, beholding only echoes of all the people I used to be. I wonder what God could deem it just for an old man to suffer the follies of an arrogant youth.
I know, I still screwed.
Hello, everyone. My name is Julyan, what is, and I'm the Director of Communications for Remerg. For close to 8.5 years, I was 157784. And these past few years have been extremely challenging for all of us. But for those that were incarcerated and are still incarcerated, it's an even more challenging time. If you can imagine being behind bars and the world around you is in disarray and chaos. Canteen is halted. Visitations are canceled. General movement is restricted, and volunteers, that one source of light, volunteers are no longer allowed in the facility. And that prevented a lot of resources, information, pre-release and post-incarceration information that could have been very beneficial. At Remerg, we saw the need to find some unique solutions to some very unique issues. Remerg and the Denver Sheriff Department came up with this project. We partnered together for something called the Bringing the Community to the Jail docuseries. And it was literally just bringing the community to the jail in videos. So Carol and I, we scrounged around some video equipment, also known as her iPhone. This gimbal device, and this lavalier microphone that I managed to lose 4 times. And then Carol asked me the $1 million question. She said, "Viola, do you know how to make videos and edit them?" And the $1 million answer was, "No, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where to start." So I watched hours and hours of YouTube videos. And I was just searching things like, what is the B-roll? And how do I focus an iPhone? But in all seriousness, I did have a great mentor in the beginning. It was Daniel Wenshanker from Story Center. And he showed me some amazing tips along the way. And the learning curve for this was very hard and very fast. As I was learning, I had to apply it in the moment while we were filming. And we filmed 40 separate videos with different organizations here in the Denver metro area. Nonprofits that do reentry work to help men and women who are returning citizens. When Carol and I spoke about this project, we beamed with pride at the impact it would have to the men and women behind bars. I can only imagine sitting in that cell, my celly's in the bottom bunk, and I'm watching the TV in my translucent 13-inch box, and a video pops up about some organization in the same neighborhood that I'm going back to. And we imagine the hope it would instill in the lives of men and women that were incarcerated. And this project is going to be aired in the Denver Sheriff Department facilities. Thank you. Thank you. One thing we did not anticipate was the impact it would have on us while we were filming, while we were documenting these men and women tell their phenomenal stories, and unknowingly film somebody that I was in prison with, and the both of us in shock and awe that our paths crossed again for this project. So without further ado, the next presentation is highlights from the docuseries, Bringing the Community to the Jail. Thank you.
I came from a family of drug addicts. My earliest memory is my mom flicking potsies at me and being at babysitters for days at a time. The first time that I used any drug, I was 8 years old, and I was given heroin, and that was just my life for a long time. I grew up that way. I started using meth at 14. All the while heroin was given to me off and on from the man that abused me. When I was 17, I went to prison, adult prison. My best friend killed himself in front of me. I was charged with negligent homicide and took a plea deal, Scared 17, and I went to prison. And I was released right before my 21st birthday.
As a previous social worker, I had lost my way and got addicted to meth and ended up in prison for a while. During that time, I realized that this can happen to anyone.
We eventually moved from New York to Virginia Beach. And that's when it really started getting bad. About 13, I got arrested for the first time, stealing bikes at the beach. So I think things started really happening really bad for me when I turned in 1976, when I was 6 years old. My father, was really abusive to me and my sister, and, I got tired of it, so I would run away. The police would come get me, they'd bring me back home. Then the beatings kept happening, so I kept running away. And then finally we moved to Virginia Beach, which I thought things might get better, but it actually got worse. And so the beatings got worse. I just wanted to get away from my father. And so it caused me a lot of pain and heartache. And as a young adult, I got into more crime. I always had good jobs, but in those off hours, I would get in trouble, do stupid stuff. Things to land me in jail, lose my job, have to start all over again, and then finally I decided I would go to radiology school, and I graduated top of my class and had a lot of opportunities to get in the radiology field, and ended up self-sabotaging once again. Here was the highest points of my life, and ended up getting a high-speed car chase with police after racketeering charges and all kinds of things, and that was the moment where things really hit rock bottom for me.
I grew up in California, so I was definitely influenced by the Cholo culture, Chicano culture, however it's viewed out these days. So I wanted to be part of that. To me, that was the definition of what a man was. Although my prime example was my father at home, working 7 days a week to provide for us. So getting involved with the gangs at such a young age, it really blinded me to what I was doing. As I grew up, because I craved it so much, me and a couple of friends ended up forming our own, and we were destructive and damaging to ourselves and our loved ones. Everybody suffered. I went away for 26 years in 1995 when I was 19.
I didn't feel safe as a child. I don't even remember before the age of 9 because of the abuse. And that went on till I left home at 17, and I was a full-blown drug addict. Then when I went to the penitentiary, I became a violent gang member and never felt safe because of being a violent gang member. In 2012, when God blessed me out of that gang, I still never felt safe because I was always looking over my shoulder waiting for somebody to come get me.
I was involved in everything you can imagine in the streets. I grew up in southeast Colorado Springs as well as Washington Heights, New York City. With that kind of mix of streets and culture, I was involved in a lot of things that kind of led me astray. I got in trouble. I was sentenced to 15 years in the Colorado Department of Corrections.
So the first time I started using it was about 15 or 16. I started drinking on the weekends, and that led to using cocaine and heroin on the weekends, which eventually led to meth use, and that was pretty much the beginning of the end for me. I started using meth at the age of 18, and I continued using. Once I started using drugs, I started getting charges for possession and going to jail and in and out of jail for possession charges. And first time I went to jail, I was 18. I remember being scared. I remember not even wanting to use the bathroom because I was scared of the position that I was in. And I thought I would never go back there, but I immediately got out and I started using drugs. I went right back to using drugs. I went to jail again, time and time again, and it just got more comfortable for me. I remember getting sentenced to prison for the first time and being scared, but I just thought that that's the way that the rest of my life was going to be. I had become okay with the fact that I was going to be in and out of jail and in and out of prison and living life on the streets for the rest of my life.
My upbringing was great and strong. My mom and dad were a good support system, kept me in sports, kept me in my books. At the age of 14, I got a little taste of freedom, and I just ran wild with it. Started gang banging, smoking weed, drinking, stealing cars. Actually stole a lot of cars in the summertime one year. We was on the news called the Little Bandits. And then from there, I just kind of started making money, walking down Colfax. I went to Aurora Central, but there was a lot of gang activity, a lot of drug activity. And I went from there and just became a hoodlum.
I had an alright upbringing until my mom passed away. And then when my mom passed away, I was just in and out of detentions. A lot of Jim Beam was, how I numbed that pain of losing my mother. And then really just didn't care anymore. I went from gang banging to slanging to doing the mostest in the lanes and out of incarceration.
I lost my kids to the department, but I got them back. 2 years ago to this day, I was sleeping in my car and I was still high. I got off paper, I got off all that stuff. I have 14 felonies. I have a job. I have a car. I'm totally legal. I don't steal. I don't do anything at all. I'm as clean as they come. I have my kids, I have my life, I have my house. Because we're not bad people. We're not lost, we're not gone, and we're not worthless. And we can be trusted. And that's what not only they teach you to believe about yourself, because I know that I'm a good person. I'm more than just an addict, and I'm more than just a criminal. And I'm successful now. And so it's about changing not only minds of the way you feel about yourself, but it's the way the society looks at you.
Don't get up and roll. What you did to me. Girl, you love me with all my heart. I swear to God I do. Don't forgive you, but I never forgive what you did. I'm not a human being, and I came up from nothing. Just imagine that. Now I got my own. Just imagine that. Try to take it from me, I ain't got it back. I lost day one. Just imagine that. I'm feeling like it's all on me. Soon as they fall, they gon' call on me. I remember when they used to talk on me. These days now I got it all. Just imagine that. Like I remember when there wasn't nothing with us. These days now I got it all. Chopping in with the president, we on the top.
My name's Ashley, and I've been out for about 5 years now, and I work for a program called The Other Side Academy. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Lola Strong and The Other Side Academy. I've spent much of my life causing harm and pain to people, and I plan on spending the rest of my life helping people.
Is this on? My name is Luis Cruz. I've been out 11 months.
I have a career now in HVAC. I work for MTech Mechanical. I served 26 years. I'd like to thank Coach Kelly from Master Apprentice and the Master Apprentice program for giving me the tools that I needed to succeed and go into the future with hopes.
My name is Marcus Weaver, and I'm the proud Deputy Director of the Community Outreach Service Center. I'm also the founder of the People's Pickles, which is a transitional job training program for men and women coming out. And I definitely would not be here if it wasn't for Pastor Bob and Miss Eddie. The love they had for me at a time where I needed it the most has really guided me and shaped me like no other, not just spiritually, but made me be a better person and a proud father that I am today. Ain't that right, Maggie?
Hi, my name's Rick Stanton. I've been out of prison now for about 5 years. I'm a case manager for St. Francis Center, and I'm here today with my colleague, Julyan Richardson, our assistant director. Julyan was on the team that hired me 4 years ago. I was a social worker in government prior to falling into addiction, which ended me in a prison and now a convicted felon. I felt so disgraced and was afraid I would not be able to work in my field again. That all changed when I found St. Francis Center. I want to thank Julyan and the rest of the team for recognizing that what I went through would make me an even better case manager than what I was before. I knew this in my heart. I am passionate about the work I do, and it inspires me every day to see how equally passionate my colleagues are, even though they themselves do not have the same lived experiences.
Hello, my name is Christina, and I work for Mile High Workshop. I've been out for about 4 years now, and all I can say is kindness cures all. Everybody deserves kindness, equality, every breathing being. And the kindness that Andy at Mile High Workshop has shown me has allowed me to grow and make me a wonderful, productive member of society today.
Lola, Ukhti, Coach Kelly, Miss Eddie, Pastor Bob, Julyan, Andy, Carol Peoples. Thank you all. You all stood beside us and believed in us when others didn't. And we would not be here today if it was not for your help, your faith in us. And now we all stand for you. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you so much.
think the combination of age and a greater coming together is responsible for the speed of the passing time. I think the combination of age and the greater coming together is responsible for the speed of the passing time. It's 6 months now, and I can tell you, truthfully, few periods in my life have passed so quickly. I think the combination of age and a greater coming together is responsible for the speed of the passing time. It's 6 months now, and I can tell you, truthfully, few periods in my life have passed so quickly. I am in excellent physical and emotional health. I think the combination of age and a greater coming together is responsible for the speed of the passing time. It's 6 months now, and I can tell you, truthfully, few periods in my life have passed so quickly. I am in excellent physical and emotional health. There are doubtless subtle surprises ahead, but I feel secure and ready. I think the combination of age and a greater coming together is responsible for the speed of the passing time. It's 6 months now, and I can tell you, truthfully, few periods in my life have passed so quickly. I am in excellent physical and emotional health. There are doubtless subtle surprises ahead, but I feel secure and ready as lovers will contrast their emotions in times of crisis. So am I dealing with my environment. I think the combination of age and a greater coming together is responsible for the speed of the passing time. It's 6 months now, and I can tell you, truthfully, few periods in my life have passed so quickly. I am in excellent physical and emotional health. There are doubtless subtle surprises ahead, but I feel secure and ready as lovers will contrast their emotions in times of crisis. So am I dealing with my environment in the indifferent brutality, the incessant noise, the experimental chemistry of food, the ravings of lost hysterical men. I can act with clarity and meaning. I think the combination of age and a greater coming together is responsible for the speed of the passing. It's 6 months now, and I can tell you, truthfully, few periods in my life have passed so quickly. I am in excellent physical and emotional health. There are doubtless subtle surprises ahead, but I feel secure and ready as lovers will contrast their emotions in times of crisis. So am I dealing with my environment in the indifferent brutality, the incessant noise, the experimental chemistry of food, the ravings of lost hysterical men. I can act with clarity and meaning. I am deliberate, sometimes even calculating, seldom employing histrionics, except as a test of the reactions of others. It's 6 months now, and I can tell you, truthfully, few periods in my life have passed so quickly. I am in excellent physical and emotional health. there are doubtless subtle surprises ahead, but I feel secure and ready as lovers will contrast their emotions in times of crisis. So am I dealing with my environment in the indifferent brutality, the incessant noise, the experimental chemistry of food, the ravings of lost hysterical men. I connect with clarity and meaning. I am deliberate, sometimes even calculated, seldom employing histrionics, except as a test of the reactions of others. I read much, exercise, talk to guards and inmates, feeling for the inevitable direction of my life. I am in excellent physical and emotional health. There are doubtless subtle surprises ahead, but I feel secure and ready as lovers will contrast their emotions in times of crisis. So am I dealing with my environment in the indifferent brutality, the incessant noise, the experimental chemistry of food, the ravings of lost hysterical men. I can act with clarity and meaning. I am deliberate, sometimes even calculating, seldom employing histrionics, except as a test of the reactions of others. I read much, exercise, talk to guards and inmates, feeling for the inevitable direction of my life. There are doubtless subtle surprises ahead, but I feel secure and ready as lovers will contrast their emotions in times of crisis. So am I dealing with my environment in the indifferent brutality, the incessant noise, the experimental chemistry of food, the ravings of lost hysterical men. I can act with clarity and meaning. I am deliberate, sometimes even calculated, seldom employing histrionics, except as a test of the reactions of others. much. Exercise. Talk to guards and inmates. Feeling for the inevitable direction of my life. As lovers will contrast their emotions in times of crisis, so am I dealing with my environment. In the indifferent brutality, the incessant noise, the experimental chemistry of food, the ravings of lost hysterical men, I can act with clarity and meaning. I am deliberate, sometimes even calculating, seldom employing histrionics, except as a test of the reactions of others. I read much, exercise, talk to guards and inmates, feeling for the inevitable direction of my life. In the indifferent brutality, the incessant noise, the experimental chemistry of food, the ravings of lost hysterical men, I can act with clarity and meaning. I am deliberate, sometimes even calculating, seldom employing histrionics, except as a test of the reactions of others. I read much, exercise, talk to guards and inmates, feeling for the inevitable direction of my life. I am deliberate, sometimes even calculating, seldom employing histrionics, except as a test of the reactions of others. I read much, exercise, talk to guards and inmates, feeling for the inevitable direction of my life. I read much, exercise, talk to guards and inmates, feeling for the inevitable direction of my life.
Before we move to the final part of the evening, I want to take a moment to introduce a special guest we have here. He's the director of the Department of Corrections for Colorado. He is a leading voice in normalizing the environment that is inside our prisons and in humanizing the people that we incarcerate. And so I'd like to ask him to come up and take it.
Justice and mercy can live in the same house. Accountability and redemption can live in the same house. Taking responsibility for what one has done and seeking forgiveness can live in the same house. In many ways, for those of you who don't know me, as Carol said, I'm the executive director of the Department of Corrections. And I'll be the first to tell you that more than anybody in this room, I know something is wrong with the way that we have done prison in this country. It's by an odd twist of fate and a bit of God's sense of humor that I know that I stand in front of you as the executive director. Because more than any of you, I see what's wrong with the system that we have developed in this country. And in this time of such strife in the country, and actually with war breaking out in Europe, it's easy to look at what's happening and find positions where we're not together. Are you with me? The man who had my job 7 or 8 years ago was assassinated at his door by the very man he was trying to help. Tom Clemens. Are you with me? Tom was a man with a vision that prison could be different, that humanity and accountability could live in the same place. There could be purpose in prison. And God bless Carol and the folks at Remerg who are trying to help all of us find a better way forward. So the thing I guess I would say to you as the executive director of this department that I've been now leading for 3 years, and I'm very blessed to be here. But the burden on all of us, including me at times, is sometimes just seems too much. Like, what's the way forward? How does it get better? And I have to tell you, as the guy who's leading this system, sometimes I get discouraged. It's like so much history has occurred. Like, how can it possibly change? But I tell you what encourages me. Tonight encourages me. The men who I talked to today, who are at the core of starting the radio station, the first radio station in the country, broadcast from the inside on March 1 on Tuesday. The first radio station in the country that will be broadcast outside, produced on the inside by the men and women in prison, encourages me. The podcast, by the way, is called Inside Wire.
Download the app.
There's an app. I just found out today. I should know this. There's an app. The podcast within that's been developed in 3 years that I've been here with Denver University Prison Arts Initiative encourages me. The newspaper encourages me. When I walk through the prisons and I see men and women behind the walls and I say, hey, this change thing, they call it the shift. The men and women behind the walls call it the shift. Right? So the men and women behind the walls, when I see them and I say, they're like, hey, director, it's so good to see you. I'm like, hey, this stuff we're doing, do you want it more than I want it? Like, yeah, we want it. Do you want it more than I want it? Yeah, we want it more than you want it. It's very easy for us to find divisions among things about what seat we sit in, especially with how the country is so jacked up right now in so many ways. On this mission, we are together. I'm here tonight sort of as a representative of that effort, I guess. Because I'm not the only one. The good news is I have all of you. The good news is I have people like Carol and Remerg and all the other people, Denver University Prison Arts Initiative, Dream Center, Second Chance Center, all the folks who have just come alongside with me and said, yeah, we're with you. And so I hope you leave here tonight knowing that we're in this together and that we need you. Hear me. None of this will change without you. And when I talk to the men and women behind the walls, as I commonly do, and as each one of these things rolls out, I say, men, women, are you with me? My director, we're with you. Because the only way it will change is when we're together and we're moving in the same direction, no matter what seat we sit in. So come alongside. Thank you, Carol, and thank you for all that you do for us. And so God bless you. Thank you very much.
And I would also like to thank all of our guests, our special guests that were on stage with us. Thank you all so much.
I want to thank everyone here for attending tonight and supporting the work of Remerg with your presence. If you're in the position to provide more, we'd greatly appreciate it.
The return of investment allows us to do the work that we do. As Carol said earlier, we've had more than 5,000 visitors on remerg.com, which is a free website. And we also answer, both of us, we man the phone, we man the emails, the letters from jails, the letters from DOC, and sometimes Carol gets calls on her personal cell phone. And we connect men and women to organizations like the ones you saw earlier.
Yeah, Connection is kind of our middle name now. And in response to your question, what's the way forward, I think it's in this room. Their success. I went off script.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you can, please support Remerg. We got a little competition. There's envelopes and there's a QR code. I think it shows the gap in generation. So just a little friendly competition. If you want to do it the old school way and put some checks in the envelope, or you can just scan the QR, very convenient. Very smart.
Before you go out the door, I just want to, I want to thank Conrad King and the Playground Ensemble one more time. Please join me, and also in appreciating what Eric Davis did tonight. Thank you so much. This young man beside me. Hired him 6 months ago. He's brought wind beneath the wings of Remerg, and we all know it. Halam of ours is an amazing human being, an amazing example of someone giving back. Anyway, I just thank you. Everyone, thank you so much for coming. We love you.
I would not be here if not for Carol, but Shafiqa and James, thank you both so much for everything. I love you. Thank you. That was great.